We have a special guest instructor, Mr. Greg Souders. He's known for bringing the CLA or constraint-led approach to Jiu-Jitsu. Basically, the idea is that you're going to use your environment and behaviors to develop your skills rather than static drilling and talking, right? So honestly, as I learn more about Greg and as I listen to more of his stuff, I actually do believe that the CLA approach is superior to this idea of static drilling. So you can take it away.
Cool, thank you, sir. Thank you guys for coming in to do this lesson. We're going to work on a bunch of different stuff today, but first we're going to start off with the basic idea of how to start to train entanglements. So starting on the floor. We're going to look at two things: controlling the situation itself and working towards break mechanics. These are questions I get asked often and a lot. So for the first situation, we're going to be both seated. One player is going to start. I'll use your language. I'm going to use your language. We're going to start in single leg X on our partner. Now, I'm going to give you a set of things you have to do to win the game. So starting entangled, we have to keep our partner's leg the entire time. While keeping our partner's leg, we're going to switch from single leg X to outside entanglement and then back. And then once we get back, we have to switch over to the other leg and do the same thing. Single leg X, outside entanglement. If we can accomplish that task before we lose connection to our partner, we win the game. Super simple. Defending player, your only job is to free your leg at any point. Separate the connections, pull your leg free. Once you separate from all connections any way you can, you win the game. Every time somebody wins, we're going to change top to bottom.
A question.
Yes, sir.
The defensive person looking for submissions at all, or just looking to
No,
pull
he's
the leg?
literally looking just to separate connections, pull the leg free. Nothing else. So you're not doing anything else but breaking connections and freeing your leg. Is that simple enough? No one has any more questions? You guys good? All right, grab partners, work. Single leg X, outside entanglement, and back. Straight, do it again. If you make that whole change, you win. If anyone needs me, just yell my name. When people typically think about training, you think about things like mechanics, tactics, and strategies. But how often has a coach talked to you about the idea of intentionality? Like doing what you intend to do. Like, I'm going to grab you in this way and go in this direction. So really, other than the mechanics, tactics, and strategies, we're also training being intentional. So taking our feet and purposely going from here to here or here to here is a skill in and of itself. Even though entanglements look special or fancy or specific, it's just you using your legs and hands to do things to legs and hands. All right, so we're intentionally trying to engage in that way. So no matter what you do today, make sure you stay focused on the task and let the task guide what you do. No matter what it looks like, if you fulfill what I'm asking you, this is what we're looking for. So now we're going to start in a similar way, but now we're going to change up what we're going to do. So we're going to start in your single leg X once again, but now the conditions are going to change. Now these don't have to happen in any particular order, but they all have to happen in order to win the game. So first, and again, I'm just giving them in a random order. It doesn't matter which order they happen in. Taking your partner's leg from the straight side of your body or the side it's starting on and moving it across is a task you have to perform. The second is your feet, no matter where they end up, have to go in between your partner's knees. Then third, we have to collect the other leg. Now, once we fulfill all three conditions, cross the leg, feet to the inside, capture the other, we have to keep the second one we captured, we have to do it again on the other side. So no matter how you get out of it, we have to do the same thing on the other leg. Cross it, feet to the inside, collect the second leg. If you're able to do both before you lose connection, you win the game. So stay connected. No matter what your partner does, you just have to fulfill those three conditions on either leg. So one more time. And again, it doesn't matter what the order is. Feet to the inside, cross the leg, capture the second. While staying connected, we have to do the same thing on the other leg. Again, doesn't matter the order, just all conditions have to be met. If you do it, you win. Defending player, disconnect and pull your leg free at any time. Now, one small thing I'm going to say, and I'll let you guys get back to it. Be competitive with the small stuff. As I watch you guys around, you're treating it like a drilling session. Don't. Be competitive with the small stuff. The condition of moving the legs, moving the feet, capturing the second, be competitive over it. Don't let your partner fucking win. Don't talk to them. You're good job. Okay, beat your guy. All right? Let's go. That's it. And then you have to do the same thing on your legs. Don't lose connected. You can disentangle without losing connected to them. Any way you like. You just have to fill all those conditions now on the other leg. Any way you get there, doesn't matter. So if you reach inside tangle with both legs on the other leg, you're going to pass, does not matter. So once I... Now, one of the ways we design practice, if you get there, is to not be tactically optimized. What we mean is, when we get into the live environment and we're touching something we don't know, and we want to enact a skill on them, we don't know how they're going to respond to our engagement. So there's going to be a lot of novelty that happens between two players. Novelty is just stuff that we don't know that's going to occur. Our ability to solve novel problems make us skilled grapplers. So by asking you to do things that are not tactically optimized, like move your feet here, 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 before you win, helps you start to get used to novel things. So if you only ever knew how to go from here to here in one way, and somebody never offered you the opportunity, how the hell could you solve something novel? If they never offered you the opportunity to do the thing you know how to do, what would you do then? And so training this way helps us deal with stuff like that. Because again, I'm asking you to do things that you normally wouldn't have to. Like, you don't have to move your feet that much. You don't have to move the leg that much. But if you can, that becomes a skill you now have access to. So we'll do one more like it, and then we'll get to break. Same starting situation as we've been doing, but this time it's going to be a little simpler. So our only job is to capture our partner's toes in our armpit, catch under the heel, and connect our hands. We have to do it in both the straight leg, meaning the side the leg starts on. Once we catch our hands together, we have to transition it to the cross side. We can do anything we want with our feet here. It doesn't matter. However you need to position your feet to accomplish the goal is up to you. But we have to catch the toes, get under the heel, and connect our hands on the other side. We have to do that same thing on both legs before we lose it. All right? So again, starting single leg, capture toes, get under heel, connect your hands. Do the same thing on the cross side, move your feet however you need to make it happen, but then we have to get the other leg without losing it. We have to do the same thing on the other side. However you accomplish it does not matter, as long as you accomplish it on both legs. Simple enough? Defending player, your only job is to free your leg, or break free of all connections. Any questions? Nicky Rod? Just kidding. Let's go. guys, time to take a break. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. Now we're going to work on finishing. All right? So I'm going to start with a very strong spot to finish from. The idea is this. Every time you win the exchange as the attacking player, you're going to move further and further and further from the finishing point. So we're going to start inside entanglement with both legs. Our job is to try to keep a hold of both legs while we separate our partner's feet and capture the toes. When we capture the toes, we're just going to keep the toes until we finish. Connect your hands, pressure the toes, with whatever skill you currently have, get your partner to tap. Your partner's only job is to pull their leg free. Now, if you successfully tap your partner, next time it's your turn, we're going to start single leg. You have to get to that finishing point before you can finish. So, cross leg, both legs, and only from the cross leg position can you catch the toes and finish. If you're successful, you back further out, just having inside position. Then you have to do the same thing all over again. You have to entangle, get to any cross leg position with feet on the inside, and then and only then can you capture the toes and finish. So do you guys get the point? No matter how far out you go, you have to make it back, feet to the inside, cross leg position, finish. Again, if you fail at any point and your partner disconnects, you have to restart from that failure point. If I'm not clear, say something now. All right, get it.
You're good again. And then you end up like the next time around. You're starting with double toe.
Yeah, you start in process.
Oh, then you go.
Yeah, if you finish me, then essentially better than me.
No, I saw him just recently. I just saw him. Yeah. It's great to see you though, man. I definitely want to come back up and train with you guys. I know. I'm still doing it. I'm the old guy at this point. But
You only get older.
I know.
So now?
Now, every game we've played so far, we just focus on different ways we can move our legs relative to our partner and move our partner's leg relative to us. And search for specific both feet placement and hand placement. It was just as simple as that. Now, if we think about the skills that are required to finish on the legs as being how we move our feet, where we move our feet, how we move our hands, and where we move our hands, what would be another critical skill? Anybody can answer this, by the way. This is not rhetorical, I'm asking. What's another skill that you would have to be very good at if you wanted to be good at finishing someone on the legs during the entanglement? Think big picture, something you would have to be able to do almost at all times. That's close, whoever said. You're my student, why are you talking? Someone who's not my student. Come on, anything, you guys train, right?
What do you
guys
say?
know what skills?
Destabilize? Is that what he said?
That's what he said.
It's not the answer. It's not the answer.
It's not the answer. It's close though.
I mean, stay attached to the leg. And
We just did all that, that's right. It's not the stuff we've already done. We already did that. We stayed attached, right?
know how to properly engage the hips and when?
To the legs. Keep them on a hip.
Rotating the
Oh,
leg.
yeah.
Keep them down. We have to get a hold of our partner on the mat. It seems simple, but think about it. What's the most frustrating thing you guys attacking legs, right? People getting up and poof, they keep coming off the mat, right? So, we're gonna start double seated, feet on the inside. Now we're gonna make it simple for the attacking player. Entanglement of your choice, because I don't know, you guys already have this skill already. So entanglement of your choice, capture the toes, connect your hands. Doesn't matter. Any entanglement, any leg alignment doesn't matter. Entangle, connect hands with your finishing grip. That's all you have to do, okay? But your partner has to be held down when doing it. Your partner's job is to get to their feet and disconnect, or get to your feet and they have to win leg position. Either one leg in between, both legs on the outside. So full disconnect, standing full disconnect, standing one leg in between, standing both legs on the outside. Again, if the defending player reaches those outcomes, they win. So again, attacking play, you have to keep them down. Now I'm gonna give you one more thing. There is no reason why I have to stay grounded when somebody's starting to stand. Conceptually, we call this playing the whole space. So for example, if I feel like my partner's starting to flee, getting up to keep their hips on the ground so I can stay engaged in their legs is the same thing as if I were to hold them down with my legs. So as long as you're keeping your partner's hips on the ground, you can play the entire space between standing and grounded to try to reach your goal. You guys understand? So if you need to stand and keep them down, stand and keep them down. Remember, they have to disconnect completely on their feet, get on their feet, put one leg in between, or get on their feet, put both legs on the outside. So as long as they're not there, you continue to fight. You guys understand what I'm telling you to do? If you're confused, please say something. I know this is your first time ever doing it like this.
Can you attack any leg locks like AOKs, ankle locks, anything?
No. Any entanglement, doesn't matter. Hip attachment, ankle attachment of any type, but you have to get a heel hook finish grip specifically, because that's what we're working on today, right? The heel grip specifically.
From the inside heel. Or any.
Any. Outside, inside, doesn't matter. You just have to have them down. They have to be entangled, and you have to catch your toes or your hands connect.
No finish needed.
No finish needed at all. Just fulfill those conditions and you win. Before they get to their feet, disconnect, put one leg in between or both legs on the outside. Are you sure you guys got it? All right, let's work. Get to those feet, man. Get to your feet. All right, here's what we're gonna do. So first, just a quick recap of today, and then we'll open it up. But think about it, this style of training session, right? How much jiu-jitsu do we just get done? How much experience do we put into leg locking within 40 minutes? We just did 40 minutes of focused work, having you move your legs around, move your partner's leg around, capture specific grips, hold your partner to the floor, try to get off the floor. I didn't have to say anything about it, but what you had to do. You know what I mean? So I could have wasted 40 minutes talking about shit you wouldn't remember anyway, right, Nicky Rod? Or could get you guys training immediately. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious, you know? Now, before we open it up to do some regulars, I'll give you guys an opportunity, questions, comments, concerns, impressions. Anything you'd like to know about what we've done today or anything that's in your mind, you don't have to, just giving you an opportunity. You don't have to be afraid. Yeah, man.
Yeah, a big question, guys. So, what's your thoughts on countering?
Okay.
Like, hypothetically, if you get accustomed to this, would that make you less of a counter?
No. We don't get accustomed to things. If we were just robots that got accustomed to the things that we did, we would never be able to solve novel problems, things we've never seen before. But we've all watched you roll. We know that's not true. You're able to solve novelty rather easily. You know what I mean? You're a more implicit emotional athlete. You know, you solve the problem right in front of you. You show how to do it every day. So you know you don't do that. So why do you think that's the case?
Well, that's the thing. I just do in comp what I do every day in training. And if I'm not countering, would that make it, like, would I not be aware of the ability to counter?
Maybe not. Let's imagine this was the only leg locking session you've ever done. Sure, you weren't exposed to any of the tasks that would allow you to counter your partner. However, this is not the only style of training that we would do. We could take all these small situations and we can add new tasks to them. So let me give you an example. D-Money? So rather than giving the defending player the job of pulling the leg free or working to the feet, we could have changed things. We could start getting him into a position where countering is what we're looking for. So let's say we started the attacking player with an entanglement. And again, my job is to do something like just capture the toes and connect my hands, something simple. If we want to get him towards countering, we would give him a job of stealing inside position. So the job would be for my defending player not to pull the leg out, but to separate the connections and get both their legs back to the inside. And so that way, his focus is now to get to a precursor position that allows entanglements to happen. So we can start training him to do that. Again, rather than fleeing, we are disconnecting for a new purpose.
So again, just with a different goal, you implement, okay, instead of just disengaging, now you're gonna re-engage, you're gonna counter.
Exactly right.
So as your training goes on, you could change the constraints of the game. Let's say you did 1 week first guy, this first time anyone's seen an entanglement, you may just focus on those big issues like guys escaping and keeping the hips down. But when you're training with your guys, you could start adding like he said, stealing inside position allows opportunities to counter, and you can start changing the constraints like that. You can do that with any situation, you know. But if we want to start with like just the major issues like keeping guys down, keeping a leg, we'll start with those kind of constraints, and you can start adding into it.
Sure, yeah, sure. You got to think of the demands of the task is why we move. So beginners, right? Beginners never held a fucking leg before. They don't need to hear the 37 different ways you have to capture the toes and details. They've never touched a leg when someone's trying to run from them. That's the first thing we do. But a guy that has some exposure to it, they might need to do more nuanced things. Yes, sir.
So when do you add the technique after the game? Like, I mean, you have.
We just did technique.
I
bro.
know, I understand that, but like, I'm talking about like the specific kind of like breaks and stuff like that. Also, like.
Anyway, how many people reached the goals we gave today? A lot of you. I watched. Did I explain to you the way you were supposed to do it? And I bet you each time you got your goal, it was different, right? So where was the specific technique? But you guys have all finished heels before, but why did you fail sometimes? Technique is an emergent property. All this means is, as you intend to do something, as your partner resists, that engagement creates the opportunities that you use to either win or lose. And you are literally creating technique in real time every time you touch somebody. But that technique is, again, your intention, the thing you're trying to do, against their resistance. So there is nothing I could tell you that would help you prepare for when Matthias is yanking his leg free from you. You're gonna have to grip and angle and turn relative to him.
Okay, so to kind of build off of what he said, right? Let's say, we get to the inside heel hook. Do you ever discuss like when a guy's reaching how to properly break his grips from yours, how to properly break the leg? Because we all know we can collect the heel, but to actually break the leg, there's guys that'll take a pop or two, but to where you actually need to snap it so they can't use the leg anymore.
Sure.
So
what's required to snap a leg?
well, rotational pressure, some hip pressure, your knees facing the opposing direction as your trunk.
Sure. So we give opportunities for that stuff to happen. So we would put people in the breaking position, and we would give them task focuses to go towards those ends.
What would your tasks be like once you get here, rotating your upper body opposing from your legs? Would you make it that
Well,
specific?
we don't talk about how the body moves because the body moves relative to the demands of the task. So we have to make sure the tasks that we give allow the body to move in an intentional way. So let me be more specific so I don't have to just talk in the abstract. So let's say we want to teach a new player how to break from here. We give them everything they need to break. We give them the false grip, we give them the entanglement, and we would start like have a hand so I can't snap right away. So we give them the goal of freeing the hand and connecting, keeping attached to the hips while pointing at the outside of my partner's knee. So as I pressure the toes, I want to try to stay connected to my partner's knee as I apply pressure. And we just give them the task they would need to get somewhere close to a finish. And then we do that over a long enough time, changing the tasks as we go based on the problems our students have, and eventually we get something like a mechanic. But it's going to be individual for each person's experience. We just have to know how to adjust the tasks to get them there.
Okay, so you would never just tell them like exactly how you should.
Well, there's no exact.
I guess, yeah, because everybody's different. People break at different points.
For sure. Fatigue changes things, sweat changes things, size of your opponent changes things, your mood that day changes things.
So, right, like you just said, I think it's great giving specific tasks, but the way I break this guy's leg, you're saying would be different than
100%, and how you enter it. So right now you're already starting in a static state with everything you need. It's going to change a little bit. But imagine if you had to start with like, let's say you had to take your feet and like put them on his chest for a second to start, and he had your right hand, like say here, hold it, right? Yeah. And I said go. What you would have to do to align yourself to get to that point would be different than what you did when you started there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I backed you out a little further, it would look different to get in there. So again, it changes all the time. The question is, what are we organizing around? We're organizing around the things that never change. Attachment to the hip or something that's close enough to hold the hip still, capturing the toes, we can twist the leg, and facing the lateral side of the knee. Those things are always kind of the same. And then there's gray area in between those things that we use to organize into a finish. But it's always in real time. It's always online. It's always sudden. It's not something you store and remember. You're literally figuring it out right there. Even someone who knows, you're finding the pressure, you're finding the angle. You're searching while you're doing it. But you're doing it within a parameter. Attached to the hip, attached to the toes, keep pointed at the knee. So those are things that aren't changing, but everything else is changing.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, man.
When you're doing this kind of game stuff as well, are you also communicating with your partner as well to see like, hey, it's actually feeling something, or are you kind of like getting to end goal and then you're talking about it afterwards?
Well, it depends. We can do all of the above, right? So if you're in a serious training session where you're just trying to get work, you might not want to talk that day. You might just want to get the results of your efforts. If they tap, you did a good job. But later on after class, you might sit around like, man, dude, what'd you feel? Was that your ankle or your knee? What do you think I could have done differently? Where did you feel the pressure? And you guys could nuance it out, and then you could take that information, inform your task differently, and play again. So there's nothing wrong with talking, discussing, sharing, showing. That's all good shit. But the question is, how do we take all that blah, blah, blah and turn it into training? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He says that because he likes to talk a lot.
Usually people who do, sorry.
Yeah, the guy that didn't get fit in class has a lot of questions.
Now we call those people assholes. We like our assholes though. It's cool, man.
Yeah, no, take that out of context.
Flip that.
Anything else? Anybody? I saw homie over there.
Like what's the process for parsing out constraints that are more relevant than other ones?
That's a hard one. That's a great question. That's actually the art of coaching. So knowing your athlete, knowing your room, knowing them over time. Like, how do they change week to week, day to day, month to month? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like learning, so let's say you have a really tough athlete. So let's say I'm trying to determine how DeAndre's feeling that day. I can't ask him and I can't actually see it. So we had to find a new way for me to determine how he might be feeling so I could change things. So we actually had to use like external metrics, right? But some athletes, like Noah likes to make a lot of noise when he's tired, right? So I know that if Noah's squeaking and whining, he's probably tired. We need to do something different, right? So, and I'm serious, you know? Or like Gavin, for example. Like for Gavin, I don't constrain that much. I just kind of give him suggestions, let him figure it out. So it's really important for me as a coach to know my athletes so I can determine how to constrain them relative to their intrinsic dynamics, who they are as a person, you know?
Copy that.
I have one question. So it does come down to like finishing mechanics. So for example, like a problem happened last week where somebody asked about finishing like a side triangle or like Yoko Senkaku, right? I don't necessarily see how. So he was getting to the position, locking it up fully, but was unable to actually finish.
Yeah.
So how does a game that would take 5 minutes be a greater way to teach him how to finish versus me just saying, hey, pinch your knees and back heel?
Because it might not be pinch your knees and back heel. That just might be what you think is happening. Now, it could solve the problem there that day in that moment, but does the solution persist? And does it persist to variation and novelty? So we're not just solving the student's problem right here and now. We're solving future problems they may face in that same situation. So what we would do to solve that student's problem, we might give them a new task constraint, like, yeah, pinch your knees and back heel. Maybe that's the thing, right? So then what we'd have to do is put them with a bunch of different bodies and see if that was actually the problem. And then if it was, then your informational constraint was good and you solved it and you did a thing. But now the next athlete, you say it to, it doesn't help. So then what do you do then? What if your little detail doesn't help the next athlete?
So basically, you prioritize the athlete just being able to problem solve on their own versus like you just giving them information, even though the information might be good for that specific problem.
One thing I would suggest with triangles specifically, right, is like the information you gave them was relative to their own body. You're saying pinch your knees and back heel. You're not looking to the environment. In our sport, our environment is our opponent. The thing common amongst all arm-in strangles is the delt's touching one side and some part of your body's touching the other side. So maybe change instead of the informational constraint of being parts of their body, tell them to get their, like if I'm having get their delta touch one side of the neck and the other, whatever other side, whether it's your arm in arm triangles or in terms of leg triangles, your leg getting on the other side, that may guide them to finishing mechanics as opposed to telling them specific things with their body, you know, because you're not in their body. You tell them pinch your knees and whatever other constraint you said, that may work for you, but the thing that works for both of you is getting the delta touch the other side and the other part of your body hitting the other side. Does that make sense? So changing the constraints to something external as opposed to internal.
Right? Like we can use Ethan, for example. When Ethan stood above him and cooked him in WNO when he got tired, right? We realized we had two problems. Like when he got to the heel exposed on the single leg, he couldn't keep him on his hip, and he could not get to the secondary leg. He just could not keep Ethan stable. Like Ethan's tall, he's long, he's had a good gas tank. We're like, fuck, man, we failed the thing. So then the next training cycle, we did so much work for getting to that second leg, capturing heel exposure, and keeping the partner's hips on the ground. That's all we did with every body he touched.
I don't know. I trained with yesterday. It feels pretty tough.
Right? So again, we used that, and then that's the problem, and then we trained him to try to solve that problem. So we had people literally playing like Ethan. Like the whole next couple weeks, we were like, man, you're gonna stand tall, you're gonna stand base, you're gonna push him into the fucking ground. Like you're not gonna let him get to the other leg. You're just gonna stay over top of him and cook him. You're not gonna run, you're not gonna flee. And so we just gave him the environment that he beat him in. And that's how we trained him to fix those problems. All right, let's do this. We talked enough. We did some training. Let's do some regular rounds. I'll put 10 minutes on. We can grab each other and just train, yeah? Good work today, guys. Thank you.